Massive thank you to our sponsors. Check out their links in the description below.
Yeah, my name's Jake. Most of you probably know me as J Custom Knives. Here today at the Forge, which is the home of Will Barker, the London blacksmith. We're going to take what's here on this table and turn it into a 200mm gyuto. It'll probably take about 10 minutes to heat up to a good temperature because it's not very well insulated, so if you don't heat it up the whole way, you'll just heat one spot of the blade. So I like to leave it for a good 10 minutes, but I'll go and prep the steel now while we're waiting. Take a little bit more material than we need, just because it's better to cut it down than it is to not have enough. I'm going to put it straight in the forge to heat it up, but what I like to do first, just to make life easier and safer to hold with the tongs, is I'll take a small cut out from one side. That way, you'll see in a second, it just sits really nicely in a set of box jaw tongs, so there's no vibrations and no jumping around. So I take this, put it in the vise and cut it out with an angle grinder. Just this little cut out here is simply so I can just hold it safely in tongs and it's not going to bounce up and down when I'm hitting it straight into the forge. It's probably going to take 3 to 4 minutes to heat up because the forge is still relatively cold. I want a nice bright orange heat on that. As soon as it starts getting cold, I'm going to put it back in because there's no sense in trying to move material that won't move. It depends how fast and how hard I'm hitting, really. On thin material like this, it's only 3mm stock, so it'll cool down really quickly. So it's a lot of in and out of the forge. But it's better to just keep it hot, because otherwise you're fighting a losing battle just trying to hit cold steel. It's not going to go anywhere. It's just going to roll and bend. A lot of to and fro from the forge, especially doing forging like this, but it makes more sense just to keep going over and going over and going over. If you try and rush it, you're just going to have mistakes. Well, it's getting warm in here now. A lot of people like to forge knives a lot thicker than this. So before, I used to start at 5mm thick, taper the point, taper the tang, and then draw it out after that. But it's very difficult for me to do a lot of forging due to a spinal disability. So for me, it just makes more sense to do lots of light heats than it does to try and move thick, heavy material. So now I've got the tip mostly established, I'm going to work to moving this point towards the centre. So I flip it over and start bringing it down. I generally go by eye because I've done gyuto specifically many times now. I generally try to hit it so the point that the knife will meet the tang will be around 2.5mm, tapering down towards 1.5 of the tip before grinding. check it now for thickness. Still quite thick here, probably still a full 2 millimeters the whole way down. But at this point I'm starting to get a curve on one side, so I'm going to straighten it back out and bring the tip towards center again. This is quite an unconventional method for straightening out the blade and bringing all the spine in line, but I find it really works. We'll lose even more heat now where it's so thin, and it's so easy to fold the steel over. Now I'm happy with the tapers. I just take a rawhide hammer, just square everything up and get it nice and flat. It doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to take it to the grinder, we're going to take it to the heat treat first. Excellent.
Hi everyone, Vince here. If you're enjoying the video, don't forget to hit that like button. Thank you.
Yeah, just rough shape for now, and then I'll take it with some blue Dicam and a template just to refine it to the final shape that I want. Well, that's a strong smell, isn't it? Yeah, you try not to breathe that one in there because it does say on the back of this stuff. There's a highly flammable liquid and vapor, causes skin irritation, serious eye damage, may cause drowsiness or dizziness, and suspected of causing cancer. It smells great though. Yeah. Right, that's nice and dry now. So when it's rough ground to a sort of profile that we want, I'm going to take a template that I always keep handy, just lay it on the steel, and we'll mark some definitive lines to carry on finishing the profile. It's got some clean lines in the Dicam now, so we can take it back to the belt grinder and finish off the profile. Got a nice profile to it now, I'm happy with that. So we'll take it with a file guide and we'll just square off the shoulders before we go into the heat treat, because as you already probably know, we can't file hardened steel. So we'll do that first and then straight into the quench, I think. I'm just marking here where I'm going to file the shoulders to on the tang. I'm using a square against the spine, so I know that when I drill the hole in the handle, it's going to be nice and square. I'm just going to take a carbide-faced file guide now and just line it up to where I mark that line, file the shoulders in, if I can get it apart. So just make sure this is all really nicely lined up to the scribe line. Hold it in place and tighten it up. Then we'll clamp it in the vise and do everybody's favourite job, filing by hand. It does help to have a ridiculously sized file, makes life much easier. Hang on, why am I doing this? Luca? Yes? Do you want to be on camera? Sure. Perfect, you can come and file this for me, because it's hurting my back. So now we're mostly square on the tang. I'm just going to measure this here because I want this bottom section to be almost bang on 8mm for reasons that will become apparent later on. So I switched to a smaller file with a much tighter radius on the corner so I can really get in there and make sure it's a crisp 90 degrees. down now to 7.99, 795, and for me that is more than adequate. Just take it out and we'll go harden this. Now we've got everything cleaned up and square. When we go to fit the handle, we'll see why it's important to get this really nice and square and 90 degrees in each corner, because it just makes fitting up the handle that much easier to get it really close and flush. Do you need a light over there for the forge, for the quench, or are we going to be all right?
If you want to know when the next video is out, like, subscribe and make sure you've clicked the bell notification. I appreciate your support.
Big thank you to Will for letting me use the workshop to film this video, and make sure you follow him on Instagram at The London Blacksmith.
Glad to see you've enjoyed this video. If you fancy more knife making videos, then check this link here. In case you haven't seen this one we made yet, which you may find interesting, check this one over here. See you in the next video.